Well, guys, just something to keep an eye on. Kenny Pickett came out with quarterback coach Mike Sullivan when the specialist came out.
Well, here we go, folks. Kenny Pickett on the field for the first time in regular season play. Now we see Pickett in the gun at the 49-yard line of the Jets. First down. Play action fake. Bootleg right. He wants to throw it. He throws it long down the field. Double coverage. Chase Claypool. The ball was tipped and intercepted by the Jets. Jordan Whitehead said thank you.
Kenny Pickett's introduction into the NFL wasn't exactly what he was looking for, but the takeaway from his former teammate was redeemed by a new one.
Zach Wilson in the gun. He's back. Pocket collapses. He throws a pass. It's intercepted on the tip. Minka to the 10 to 5, and he's run out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Off the hands of Conklin into the hands of Minka.
Where's the Minka magic? Right there is the Minka magic.
You seen it? You seen it? Stop playing! Come on.
Here we go.
This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown.
That's the way to work. Come on.
He's hit and sacked. The Steelers win the football game.
Let's go.
Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. With the Steelers down 10-6 at halftime against the New York Jets, Coach Tomlin felt that his team needed a spark. So he replaced Mitch Trubisky with rookie Kenny Pickett. Unfortunately, that spark fizzled thanks to a number of mistakes on both sides of the ball, dropping the Steelers to 1-3. To find out what went wrong and also why the quarterback change was made, let's send it over to Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin. Bob.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. As the Steelers get ready for a trip to Buffalo, before we do that, head coach Mike Tomlin, you did something that you rarely do last week. You pulled a quarterback in game. Because you did, is it logical to think that you're going to stick with Kenny Pickett this week?
We are, but I don't know that it's logical. Kenny's done some really good things. We felt like we needed a spark. Obviously, there's some things that Mitch could have done better, but all our offensive woes don't fall at his feet. It's just the nature of that position, and I just want to be clear in that regard. The unit's failures are often the quarterback's failure. And so we appreciate the efforts of Mitch and what he's done, and it hadn't been maybe as poorly as this discussion, but the quarterback position is tied to the functionality of the offense, and we hadn't scored enough points, we hadn't moved the ball fluidly enough, and Kenny feels like he gives us that spark that we need.
I think it was clear when he came in, there was a difference there. Talk about some of his attributes. He hadn't done a lot of practicing. It's been a while since he played. It was his first opportunity in a situation like that. Certainly had the crowd behind him, but what did he do to impress you beyond what you already knew of him?
It's just the way he sees the game. It's not fast, it's slow for him from an inside the helmet perspective. That's something that he displayed at Pitt, and that was one of the reasons why he was the quarterback in that draft class that we coveted. He made good and timely NFL-like decisions from an inside the helmet perspective, and I think good and timely decisions are as critical a component of quarterback play as anything, and that's been evident here. He's not bogged down by situation or circumstances or competition. He makes decisions, he makes them in a fluid manner, and most of the time they're always good.
If you had to look at one play, I would choose the one that he made to Freiermuth. He knew he was going to get plastered on that. He stood in there and did it and came up smiling. Is that, in a nutshell, what he is, a competitor?
Yeah, but we all saw that in the preseason. It was a preseason play that was very reminiscent of that. I think it was in Jacksonville, man. He got us stared down the barrel of the gun and connected and made a necessary throw. And he's been consistent when given an opportunity in terms of providing those type plays, and that's one of the reasons why we're excited about him leading us this week.
One of the things, looking back at last week's game, we saw 4 targets for Deontay Johnson. It seems like that's a low total. What do you have to do to get him more involved in this offense?
Sometimes it's just game circumstance. Sometimes teams can minimize a receiver or a receiver for a period of the game. Very rarely can you minimize somebody for the totality of the game. The receiver position is such an interesting one. Sometimes game dominance is described by a volume of catches. Sometimes it's when the catches occur. And Deontay's a guy that's always a chain mover, a possession down leader, one of the leaders in the National Football League in that area. And so, sometimes it's volume, sometimes it's not. Just rest assured that Deontay is always a significant component of our plans.
The thing about the game that is disappointing, you came away with a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and yet your defense was unable to stop the Jets twice. I just want to go back to that. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of blitzing going on. Was that by design, and if so, did it have anything to do with injuries that you had suffered in the secondary?
We had suffered a significant amount of injuries, and some of the cohesion and detail things that come with pressure packages were compromised. And we went into the game without Witherspoon,
right.
And then we lost Edmonds in game. And so, mixing and matching when you get into some of that sub-package of ball made some of that challenging, but that's just the nature of the game. We don't seek comfort in that regard. Those guys on the field were capable guys. We didn't do a good enough job, coaches and players, of winning those moments. We got to own that. Player availability is one thing, but I think fatigue and the detail at times that gets compromised with fatigue, particularly the early portions of the year from a defensive perspective, is a component of it. We just got to be better.
What did you see from Zach Wilson? Because he was able to stand in there. It seems like early in the game you got pressure, but you couldn't wrap him up. But then
mobility
later,
was a factor with him, but we discussed that in this setting a week ago. That was the X factor. That was the difference between him and Joe Flacco in terms of the challenge of defending him. And so it proved to be true. We had him in trouble a lot. We didn't take him down a lot or enough, and probably was a factor in the game.
I think everyone knows how important TJ Watt is, but is there a domino effect when he's not in there? And if so, who does it affect more than anyone else?
Everyone. When you're talking about the Defensive Player of the Year, it'd be the same thing if we were talking about Aaron Donald. Go to LA and ask anybody within the Rams organization if they were playing without Aaron Donald what it means. When you got a guy of that impact, it is significant, but we don't want to seek comfort and cry about it. And that's why we don't spend a lot of time talking about it. We get asked about it a lot, but it's obvious. He's the Player of the Year. The Player of the Year is significant. We don't have him right now. And so we're looking at the collection of people that we do have and figuring out what's the best way to put together a plan to make that group functional, as opposed to sitting around and lamenting the fact that we don't have TJ Watt.
All right, thanks, Coach. When we come back, Missy, we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills. They are up next. They're at home after coming back from a 17-point deficit to beat Baltimore at Baltimore. The Bills up next. We'll do it when we come back. Missy, back to you.
Thanks so much, Bob. In the Week 4 AFC Defensive Player of the Week, Jordan Poyer played a major role in that come-from-behind win. Poyer had 2 interceptions last week against Baltimore, but will not be in the lineup tomorrow. Coach Tomlin will scout the rest of Buffalo's defense to see what rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett will be facing tomorrow. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
For the first time since 2000, a rookie quarterback did not make a start in weeks 1 through 4 this season. That changes tomorrow with Kenny Pickett as the Steelers' new QB1, and he'll be going against the Bills' #1 pass defense. The last time a rookie quarterback made a start in one against a #1 pass defense, Ben Roethlisberger in 2004. To find out if history can repeat itself, let's send it back over to Bob and Coach, guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. It's a big assignment going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. However, need I remind you, the Steelers went there on opening day last year and won. What was the secret to that night, and what can you take from that game to apply to this game?
I don't know if it was a secret. I just think that we put together a good plan, and the guys really executed the plan. I've looked at the game several times since we played them as recently as this week in a couple of instances, and just wasn't a lot of negativity on the tape from our perspective. We didn't make a lot of mistakes, and we capitalized on theirs. We had a punt block for a score. We had a couple of turnovers, TJ sack fumble. Those were significant plays, and we took care of the football offensively. So it's really not a secret. It's just good fundamental things. They're a really good team. You got to respect their environment and their fan base. Those things really excite you and really, you understand the type of challenge you're facing this week as you prepare for a group like that.
The Bills Mafia, those people get after it. It's a pretty good atmosphere. I'm sure you appreciate that, having one in Pittsburgh.
Man, I love venues like this. I just got so much respect for the National Football League, the tradition and the relationship that organizations have with their fan base. And, you better respect the one that the Bills have with theirs.
Do you have any apprehensions having a raw rookie at quarterback in that environment against that defense?
Not unusually so, no. I don't know that he falls in the normal rookie discussions, and I think that's why he's playing. I think we all got a level of comfort with his readiness, the things that he's been able to do through team development, and the posture and approach he's taken once we've gotten into games. Just to see him go through a 7-day cycle and work and do some of the things that he's done in a practice setting makes us all probably a little bit more comfortable than one might be under these circumstances normally.
You have your hands full with an offense that's very capable of doing a lot of things. It starts with Josh Allen. The guy runs the ball a lot. How do you focus on him first? How do you defend that? Because the receivers are very good.
You better focus on Josh Allen.
All the time.
The other guys merit concern, certainly, but his talent level, his passing ability, his athleticism, his running ability, his size, is just a really stiff challenge. He is what's unique about what they do offensively, and you put him in any circumstance and there's going to be some challenging components to it. He's an elite passer. He's an elite runner. He's both all rolled into one, and that's why they're so formidable.
And their wide receivers make plays at big times. I think Gabriel Davis gets kind of underappreciated given what Diggs has been able to do.
Diggs is the guy that wears the crown, if you will, that attracts a lot of attention. But any of those other guys are capable of getting you in one-on-one circumstances, and really, that's how they've constructed their offensive unit. They've got a receiver that merits two people like attention. Some others that are capable of winning one-on-one circumstance, and when you couple that with quarterback mobility, there's just simply not enough defenders to go around mathematically. You wish you had 12 sometimes when you're dealing with some of the challenges that a group like this presents.
On the other side of it, defensively, they have some guys banged up. Certainly Micah Hyde's a big player, but Jordan Poyer has more interceptions than passes completed against him. So does that serve as an invitation maybe to go down the field more?
I think the significant component of what they do on defense is in the money spent up front.
Okay.
And so when you're going down the field, you better protect the quarterback. That's a challenging endeavor. Just look at their edge players. They got a bunch of former first-round picks in Von Miller. Von Miller's playing on the edge. They got Russo, second-year guy out of Miami. He led the NCAA in sacks his last year. They drafted him extremely high. He had 4 sacks last year as a rookie. He's got 4 already this year as a second-year player. And so he's doing that jump that we talk about. They got a former first-rounder like Shaq Lawson, former Clemson Tiger. I think he is their 5th edge guy from a depth standpoint. And so they got so much depth and so much talent up front, it really minimizes some of the discussion that you talk about in terms of attacking people down the field because it's risk-reward related.
All right, it's the Buffalo Bills, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a must-see TV game. We'll have it for you on KDK with postgame to follow. When we come back, Missy, we'll talk about the keys to this game on Sunday. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. And it will be no easy feat for Kenny Pickett moving forward. The Steelers' next 7 games come against teams with a winning record in 2021. It will mark the longest such streak by a rookie to start his career since 1950. But coming up next, Merril Hoge reminds us how the Steelers pulled out an impressive win in Buffalo last season. You don't want to miss his playbook. Now it's time for the Yinz Chat trivia question. Who has more receiving yards versus Buffalo in the regular season? Deontay Johnson or Chase Claypool? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Your Yinz Chat trivia answer is Chase Claypool. Yinz Chat is the Steelers' official predictive and trivia game. Answer questions, make picks, and win prizes. Play Yinz Chat exclusively on the Steelers' official mobile app. The Steelers are one of 3 teams that started last season 1-3 before rebounding to make the playoffs. And it was also in 2021 that the Steelers won in Buffalo. They did it by pressuring quarterback Josh Allen 18 times by rushing 4 or fewer pass rushers. To find out how they brought their A game, here's Merril Hoge to tell us straight in this week's Playbook.
Hi everyone, welcome into the Acrisure Playbook at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. where this week we're going to take a look at last year, how the Steelers defense handled Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Now I'm going to show you one play, but conceptually, they did this the entire game. You talk about playing well as a defense, from pressure to coverage, was outstanding. So we're first going to start with their coverage, because that was the thing that kind of stood out the most, is how well they covered guys, and Josh Allen just didn't have anywhere to throw it. You know, they're in an empty formation. The Bills send everybody out. But I want you to just watch the secondary and how well they matched up, and they were where they needed to be. That's one step that you got to have before we get to the pressure that they put on Josh Allen. So as we snap the ball, you'll see when everybody gets to the depth of their drop, Josh Allen gets to the depth of his drop, really there's nowhere to throw the football. We'll get to what they do up front here in a second. You know, from a coverage aspect, you know, really the only guy that he has is this flat right here, but this is where the Steelers are so good. Your corner's in perfect position this way. Great coverage here. Right here. Safeties are great. Depth. Everybody was outstanding from a coverage aspect. This happened actually a majority of the game. So they were terrific on the back end, that we call it. Josh Allen doesn't really have anywhere to throw the football. Now he does try to make a throw. It's incomplete because it has to be a really tight stick throw. But this is the other element I thought they were outstanding. From a pressure aspect, I never saw them bring 5 guys. That doesn't mean they blitz, because this is a form of a blitz. But they did this. They moved guys around. They had guys standing, looking like they're coming, and then entering the box, leaving the box. So they made a lot of confusion, and they moved a lot. And that is really important because it challenges these guys up front here. You know, which way are we going to slide? Who are we going to block? So they made it very tough on them initially. So as we snap it or get to the ball, see how they just shifted? Now, this is important. Highsmith is going to be a guy they want to take care of. Well, in this particular situation, that's exactly what they do. They're going to slide this way. Now what happens, and then they're really only going to bring 3 other guys from here. So they only bring 4 guys total, but they attack the 2 side versus the 3 side. And let me show you what happens as they snap the ball. Once we snap the ball, Highsmith leaves. Now that's really important. So he vacates the box. You now have the slide going his way, and all you're doing is blocking 1 guy. And here's the stunt / you know, the pressure of it all. A great job here. You're gonna have somebody come up off the slot here, and then you're looping around. So you got 3 guys attacking these 2 guys. So it's a blitz pressure, but with only 4 guys. That's really important, because trying to get Josh Allen, not giving him an escape route, getting pressure on him so he throws the football, and we've already seen how great it is on the back end. That combination played for probably the best defense I saw all year against the Buffalo Bills. Schematically, they were outstanding, and then they executed it perfectly. They'll go back and look at this game. They're going to look at the things that they did well. If they can mirror those things, boy, I will tell you this, they have a very good shot of doing their spot or their job as far as defensively and helping them win this game.
Thanks as always, Merril, and you can catch more of his playbooks on the Steelers YouTube page. The Steelers and Bills are facing off for the 4th straight year, and their head coaches know a thing or two about each other from their playing days at William and Mary. Let's send it back over one final time to Bob and Coach to get the keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Bob.
All right, Missy. Coach, let's talk about your relationship with Sean McDermott. You guys go back and forth. You know each other well. How does that factor into this rivalry?
Not at all. We'll chit-chat pregame. We'll talk superficial things. Hey, how's your family? Great. How's your family? How's William and Mary football doing? And so forth. But on game day, man, those relationships are minimal. Man, he's got to coach his group. I got to coach mine. Make no mistake, though, away from game day, man, that's a guy that's been a friend of mine since I was 20 years old. We played college football together. We've both been in the same profession. We've been able to share ideas and kind of grow together over the years. I'm so proud to be associated with him and call him a friend and see the success he's had. But at the same time, on game day, man, they're nameless great faces. That's just the nature of what it is that we do. We always laugh because it's conflict for our teammates, you know, kind of on this weekend. We get a lot of emails and communication and stuff from former teammates talking about the nature of the matchup and so forth. But from our perspective, it's just another week in the National Football League versus a formidable opponent.
All right, their defense is what it is. You're on the road. What do you have to do with Kenny Pickett at the helm offensively in this game?
We better stay on schedule. Obviously take care of the ball is always a prerequisite. But I think staying on schedule and being able to do the things and spin the dial that come with staying on schedule is going to aid with making Kenny a moving target and keep him clean.
Defensively, you have to go up against Josh Allen. We talked about it earlier in the show. Is there one way, to put a spy on him? Is that worth it? How do you try to stop him before he gets started?
It's a numbers game, and it's going to be a numbers game. When you're playing a guy with unique quarterback mobility, oftentimes it's more than 4 people to minimize his ability to find escape lanes, and while at the same time allowing the others to rush. Sometimes you rush him with 4 to 4, you rush so scared that you don't get enough pressure. And so anytime you're looking at a guy with his type of mobility, the number of rushers is always a significant component of the discussion. But it's not earth-shattering. He sees that discussion week in and week out because there's not a lot of options when you're dealing with somebody with the talent that he has in all areas.
How dangerous is it to blitz him?
We're going to blitz. You blitz. That's what we do. That is in our personality. While at the same time you understand there's risk-reward associated with it. But, man, we're competitors. That's what we live for.
Well, it should be a tremendous game. Thanks very much, Coach. Appreciate it, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for our show tonight. Steelers and Buffalo Bills. Tomorrow, KDKA, 1 o'clock. We'll follow with post-game on KDKA. Look forward to this matchup. We hope you tune in as well. And we'll join you again next Saturday night for another edition of the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. For Missy Matthews and Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a good football weekend.